Hi, this is Eric Martin with Board Game Geek. I'm here with designer Matthew Dunstan, publisher from Funforge, Philip Nura, looking at Monumental, or at least a prototype of Monumental.
Yes, very much a prototype, as you can tell. But although there is you can see some of the spectacular art. I think there's an army of about 25 illustrators working on the game as we speak.
That's right.
So it's going to look amazing by the end of it, but you can see some of it here.
Okay, so right now we can get an overview
Exactly.
of what's coming.
So Monumental is a civilization game. It's a card-driven civilization game, plays in about 60 to 90 minutes for 2 to 4 players. And in it, you will take on the role of one of the great civilizations of history.
Okay.
So in the base game, there's 5 different civilizations, which you can see in these different decks. So we have Greece, we have China, we have Japan, and Denmark, and Egypt.
Okay.
And each of the civilizations has some unique aspects to it, but they all share the same mechanisms of how you play the game.
Okay.
So, the way the game works is, you have a deck of cards which represents your city and your civilization. So, each player will have this grid in front of them, which is their city, and you'll lay out a 3x3 grid of cards. And on your turn, it's very simple, you just activate one row and one column of cards. So, for example, I might choose to do these 3, and then this column here. So you'll get the effects of these 5 cards.
Okay.
This is what we call the cross-tapping.
The what, sorry?
The cross-tapping.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Cross-tapping it. And you'll essentially, a lot of the game, you'll be generating resources with which to get other cards or other abilities or conquer new provinces in the world.
Okay.
So, for example, there are 3 main resources in the game. There's military, production, and science. And so here I've produced 3 military, and military, for example, is used for conquering provinces.
Okay.
So the provinces have a certain cost, and if I have enough that military I produce, well, then I can go out and start conquering the world. So the provinces start with these sort of barbarian camps, so they'll resist us initially, but
Right.
under the heel of our mighty civilization, we will brush them away, and they'll give us some gold or benefits for our trouble. So that's what military does. Production lets you build new buildings or wonders.
In lands that you already occupy, or is
No,
it
so
sort of abstracted
it's
out?
into your city essentially. There will be hopefully in the Kickstarter campaign we have tiles for the wonders at the moment, but there'll also be miniatures for the wonders which you can put on the board in your city. But they're also represented by a card. So this is the central row which contains all the cards you can buy. So this is shared between the players. And for example, with production, I can start building the pyramids of Giza. So this has the first cost is 3 production. So if I've generated 3 production, then I can take the wonder, put it next to my city, and I can mark that I've started working on it, and then later I can then do the next stage and hopefully finish it, and then it'll go into my deck.
Okay.
So those are wonders, and buildings are a little bit the same, except you just do them in one shot and then they go immediately into your deck. Science is somewhat similar in that there are new technologies out here on the board which you can purchase with science, and they also go into your deck. And the cool thing about technologies is, unlike these other cards, technologies can essentially improve certain cards and allow you to activate more than 5 cards in a single turn.
Which is why you have it.
Exactly, yeah. So this is where we sort of get to the end of the turn. At the end of the turn, you sort of you discard all the cards you've used, and then from your deck, you'll deal out new cards in a left to right, top to bottom fashion.
Okay.
And if you were, while I was dealing out, to deal out a technology, you would immediately deal out another card on top of it.
Okay.
And so if later on, if I activate these, then I essentially get both of these abilities at the same time. So you get 2 cards for the price of 1. So that's why technologies are particularly useful. And why are we doing all of this? Well, at the end of the game, you're going to score points basically for what you've accumulated. So you'll get points for the provinces you've conquered, you'll get points for the wonders you've built, you'll get points for the technologies you've researched, and whoever's done the best in each category will get some extra points for being the greatest person for that particular thing.
Okay.
Final thing, which is quite important for the civilization. So everyone starts with some number of basic cards, and the last part are cultural policies, which are unique for each civilization. So they essentially give you special abilities and some one-off benefits, and they sort of stack on each other as you get more and more throughout the game. So this is a real point that differentiates the different civilizations. So I think that was a sort of a speed overview of the game. I don't think I've missed anything in particular.
I'll probably explain the
interactions
context
on the-
part.
So I mean, obviously, as the game goes on, you're going to be conquering more territories, and of course, at some point, you're going to start butting heads with the other civilizations. And it's the combat is deterministic. You know the cost that you need to generate in military in your city. But for example,
You can see what's available to the other players.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. So, but as you not only can you conquer empty provinces that have barbarian tokens, if if a civ gets a little bit too close to your borders, well, then you can show them who's boss and conquer their territory if you have enough military to do so. There are also these are not well. We will be showing the miniatures a bit, but each civilization has a warlord which leads their armies, and they get a special bonus every time they conquer a province, and they'll be represented by a special miniature.
The barbarians also give resources. Conquering is some kind of echoing your city, because when you conquer a province, you get the victory points, and you get the resources that the barbarians will give you. So it helps you also involve your city.
Yeah, so it all feeds back. Your city influence the provinces come back. I think overall the game is certainly one of building some very interesting combos. Every turn you're sort of choosing which cards you're going to use together. There's a lot of effects that combine well with each other depending on whatever strategy you're going for. So
that's the real depth of the game, which is that you are going over 3 ages: the classical era, the medieval era, and the industrial era. And of course, all of these cards from the Central Row are getting better and better. And so, at first sight, your actions are quite obvious during the classical era, but they are coming more and more interesting in terms
More
of
specialized,
combos,
I imagine.
and so the choices at the end of the game are really complicated, because you are trying to get the very points of all the resources you need to get the cards that you want by the end of the game. And something that maybe we should explain is that at each turn, if a player doesn't buy a card from the Central Row, the last one is discarded, and so the time goes up every time. So the length of the game will be contained by this deck, which guarantees that the place won't last more than 1 hour and a half or something like this.
Okay, and of course faster if you're buying more.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a nice element of planning. You can see what in your city and sort of agonize over which cards you're going to do on other people's turns.
Right.
So I think it actually.
I mean, you can imagine the slope. I know the time slope is always like that first game where you have to your eyes just have to take in everything, and it takes a while. Then you start getting faster, and then as you get better, you probably take longer again as you plan things out.
Because you will know the cards more and more at each play, so you know that this one will combo with this one and with this one and with this one, and you will try to get them in the lines that you want, so that you can create the combos you are aiming for.
I do appreciate that you can put fertilizer on anything.
Yeah,
that's amusing.
I mean, how could have civilization been different if you could put fertilizer on a military camp and grow your own troops?
You also had some miniatures just to walk there.
Just a few.
These are just a few of them. They are the prototypes. This one, unfortunately, got broken during the transport. But as you said, some of them are too small. This one and this one will be bigger at the end. So each civilization will have 20 basic soldiers. This is the Greek soldier, the Chinese one, the Vikings, the samurais from Japan, and the Egyptians. These are the warlords. One is missing, which is the Japanese one, because we are still working on it.
Right.
And these are the core civilizations from the core box. And here you can see 4 new ones, which will be add-ons during the campaigns. 4 add-on civilizations. There will be the Amazons, the Atlanteans, the Aztecs, and the Mughals, Indian Mughals. They will have warlords too. A special deck. Probably they will come with special tiles, terrain tiles too, notably the Atlanteans, because they will be, of course, evolve more in the aquatic side of the game. So there will be new flavor to the civilization.
Okay. All right. There you go. Fairly comprehensive overview.
Hopefully, yes. And so the Kickstarter's on March 14th.
March 14th.
Okay. There you go. All right. Thank you, Matthew and Philippe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Monumental.